Oh my gosh, I am like covered in catalogs, labels, jewelry, like trying to get ready for my shows tonight. That was fun going through everything. That was like torture not opening that on Sunday, but I'm like, I will do a live box and opening if it kills me. Yeah, hey Rhonda, how are you? Can you, oh wait, here, turn a little bit. We can hear you.
I'm going to mute myself because the dogs are going crazy. We're outside. It's just so nice out.
Okay, hold on. All right, we are recording. This is our noon call, and I am multitasking today because I have got 3 trunk shows over the next 3 days, and I am scrambling to get my jewelry straight and to get labels on my catalogs, but I'm sure all of you are in a similar boat. Way to go, by the way. We didn't win the Zoom with Danielle or Jessica, but we had a huge increase. I think we went from 170 to like 340 or something like that. So we were definitely one of the top highest teams in terms of growth of trunk shows, which means that our teams are coming alive. They're starting to get a lot of momentum right now. And so we need to take that momentum and run with it because I definitely feel like the snowball is starting to roll. And the momentum is there. So now what we need to do is kind of really focus in on it. I feel like the last 3 months, the Q1 for this Maven program has really been about getting consistent, getting where we are doing 4+ trunk shows in a month, where we're sponsoring regularly. Like that has really kind of been the basics of the program to kind of get us all like knowing that consistency is key. If you can continue to have a good, strong trunk show calendar every month after month after month, and sponsor month after month after month, like you will see great things happen with your business. So I feel like that lesson has kind of been learned, and we all know what it takes on a regular basis to make that happen. Now it's all about zeroing in and really nailing down the promotions. You know, promoting is a funny thing. You might think it's just always going to happen organically, but it typically doesn't. It's one of those things that, you know, you have a good, strong business and your team is starting to book and sponsor, but one thing that, and I talked about this on the leader call, I don't know, Liz, you were probably on there, but it was the kind of national leader call. I talked about the fact, one of my biggest ahas when I was a newer leader was how much impact what I said had over how many shows my team booked. Like whatever, if I really focused in on growing the pipeline, they did it. If I didn't talk about it, they didn't. So that was such an aha for me. I was like, wait a second. So they just kind of are waiting to hear from me and what I'm doing and what I'm saying and having a goal to shoot for. So like I said, we just did this little incentive, this North versus South, and we almost doubled our pipeline, which is pretty incredible. So know that what you talk about and what you do and what you say with your team is going to be directly proportional to what they do. Now, not everybody's going to do something, but I promise you it works that way. So when you're looking at STAR, for example, Rhonda, I know you've got STAR on the radar. Liz, you've got STAR on the radar. That's going to take about 15 trunk shows in April. And you want those 15 shows booked by April 15th, ideally. So now you've got, whenever you're promoting, it's good to, first of all, if you look on my leader page under the documents, you will see a printout chart for every single promotion level. So I would highly recommend printing that out so that you have a visual every single day of where you are versus where you want to be. And as you fill all of those holes, then you can kind of knock it off your list and say like, okay, so I've got, 4,000 of the volume covered and we've got 6,000 to go. Let's figure out where those six shows are going to come from. So that's kind of goal number 1, is to go onto my leader page. We've got these really pretty documents on there with exactly what you need for each level. Print it out. If you've got people on your team going for promotions, which ideally we should all have all these new stylists wanting to go for associate and then senior and then so on, print out one for them too, and maybe keep them all together in a little folder. I like having these little file folders on my desk, and I usually have one for each person, but for you all with newer teams, you could just have one folder with you and your team, and be strategic. So if I look at, a lot of women who have joined me over the last couple of years, they could have easily hit, associate, senior stylist, but I probably wasn't intentional enough with them, and they probably weren't as intentional as they could have been with reaching those goals. So if you kind of talk with them and figure out what they want, what their hoopla goal is, we're 90 days from hoopla. That's huge. It typically takes 90 days for to go from zero, like nothing, no one on your team, no sales, to a STAR promotion. So if you are ahead of that, if you've got team members, if you've got trunk shows booked, then you are ahead of that 90-day curve, and we want to go for it a little earlier. March, April, and May are typically easier months to promote than, let's say, a June. So we kind of really want to shoot for promoting this month or next month because the sales are going to be there. People are excited about the summer line. People are in town. A lot of people need gifts for like things like Easter. So it's just a really good time for people shopping. Especially things like the cover-ups and things like that. They typically sell out pretty quickly, so a lot of one-on-one sales for that sort of thing. But you really ideally want to get in front of as many people as you can, and you want to get in front of about 15 with your team. And for Liz going for 80, she's going to want to have about 30 team trunk shows booked. And then Amy, are you going for director?
Hold on, trying. I have to. I'm working on it.
Okay, so that's about 60 shows, right? About whether you shoot for 60 shows. So just whatever goal you're going for, figure out at the beginning of the month what you need and then where you are. Typically you double if you're working with your team to book throughout the month, you typically double your pipeline. So if you're starting at like 8 right now, you'll likely get to 16 by the end of the month. But you want to try to get to that number that you need by mid-month. So we've got now about 7 days left to really kind of do what we did this past week with booking. Because a lot of people actually were on spring break this last week. So if we put in a lot of effort this coming up week with ourselves and our teams and help them kind of dream a little bigger and figure out like what they're shooting for personally, it will make a huge, huge difference. So when you're promoting yourself or your team, first of all, is kind of figuring out like why you want it. And then kind of backing into that goal and being strategic about it. Are you crossing all your T's and dotting all your I's? And often, I can promise you right now, plan A is not going to be what gets you there. Plan B is probably not going to get you there. It's probably going to be plan C. So the people who end up promoting at the end of the month are the ones who just constantly pivot when the bumps happen. So when a show cancels, when you have a $10 trunk show, when all these different life events that happen, you don't say, oh, it would have happened if that show hadn't canceled, or it would have happened if that person had signed up. Instead, come up with a plan B, come up with a plan C, and then just kind of double down your effort and work to fill those holes. I always like to think of it as like, because it can get overwhelming, right? Sometimes when you think about going for this big goal, you can kind of get paralyzed in the fear of like, oh my gosh, how am I going to sell $10,000 between myself and my team? Instead of thinking of it like that, think of it as just like hacking away at it. And so when you have that really fun chart, let me see if I have any up here. I think I went there and did a big clean out, but if you, like, I literally will have the person's name written at the top, and then I'll write on there how many trunk shows they have, how many people they have on their team, and then just start to kind of work on filling those holes. So I would love to hear from you. What is your goal at Hoopla? First of all, when you're walking across that stage at Hoopla, what do you want to do? Do you want to be Red Shoe Affair as a star? Do you want to take your team with you? Like Rhonda reached out recently and said she was looking for a roommate at Hoopla. And I said, book your own room, and your goal is to fill your room with your team. Like that is the best case scenario. And Dana did that last year. Dana was a brand new stylist, and she ended up bringing 5 people with her to Hoopla last year. So if you talk about it enough with your team and talk about it like, of course you're going, like everybody goes to Hoopla. Like I will promise you that first year, I would not have gone had Jenny not forced me. Jenny was basically like, we're going. And I'm like, I've had 3 kids under 6. There's no way. Like I had just signed up. Like, I mean, no real like success yet or anything like that. And Jenny's like, it's a girls trip. Come on, we're just going to go. It's going to be fun. So tempt people with pictures of the Gaylord, tempt them with the girls' nights and the dance parties, tempt them with, the inspiration. So like, regardless of whether they've, made $1,000 on their trunk shows, there are a million other reasons to go. And the nice sidebar on that is their business is going to like quadruple when they go. So people who go to Hoopla's business just take off afterwards. Lori and Aaron are 2 really good examples of that. Before they attended Hoopla last year, they were very happy hobbyists, just floating along like many people on your team. They went to Hoopla and it changed everything. So just know that it can be a major game changer. So don't talk to people like, are you going to Hoopla? Just be like, we're going to Hoopla. I'm booking a room right now. We're going to throw 4 girls in it. So it's going to be really, really cheap. Let's just watch prices on the flights. It's going to be in this amazing resort. It's going to be a great girls trip, so recuperative. And we are going to leave feeling like we can conquer the world. And while we're going to push it big on the Southern Charms page, all of these little conversations are what makes the difference who goes. Liz had a great group last year, and it was because every single person she talked to about that. It wasn't just like posting once on the team page and see who wants to do it. So just know that a lot of minds can be changed with a little bit of coercion. So anyway, I want to hear from you all. What is everybody's goal? What are your obstacles? And let's kind of dig in and figure out what we can do for this is, and we're going to really dig into yourselves in the next call as well. But this one, let's think about like promoting associate stylists too. How many new stylists can you bring on and promote to associate? How can you kind of reach your goals? Let's just talk promotions in general. Who wants to go first? Okay,
I'll start if you want. So real quick to piggyback on that, Kelly, if you need any stories to tell your team, Eileen and I signed up, and then we're doing it for a full year. We're hitting senior stylists like every month. Could not hit star to save our lives. And then went to Hoopla. 4 months later, I hit star, she hit 80. Like 4 months after Hoopla. Like just having those 3 days in Orlando changed like the game for us. Because it's just things that you don't realize that you're looking for, things that you see in your business or that you notice about, you're like, oh my goodness, I didn't even know that existed, or like I've been doing this and I need to be doing this. So it's huge. It's huge. So everyone needs to go. So everyone on here is going, everyone on your team is going tough, whether they like it or not.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I found the tracker Kelly was talking about. This is an old one that I filled in a couple months ago. But it just has your personal numbers, your team numbers, and then how many legs you need and everything like that. So I usually print one off of these every single month. I did not in March, and I think it's because I was so defeated from February that I just was like, you know what? I'm not even going to go for it this month. Like I'm just going to rebuild, let my business grow a little bit, go back to basics. So I did that, and I feel like it really helped my mindset. So I am going back again this month for associate director, because that is my goal. Before Hoopla, that was my goal last year to be, well, it was senior, but we're going for 80, one step at a time. And along with that is Glam for 2. So those 2,000 promotion points would be a big jump in that direction. So Kelly, you asked why we were going for our goals. So it is like the next step in the ranks or whatever, but just to have, honestly, I know the title isn't important, but to go from like stylist to director just sounds so much more official, and like I don't know, it doesn't change anything, but I'm at that point in my business and my life where I deserve a director rank. Like that's just where I'm at, so I'm going for it because I'm worth it.
You are so worth it. I love that.
And I got my Glam apparel on. I'm going dreaming, keeping the vision in sight.
I love it.
What was the other questions?
I think that's good right now. Let's go through and do everybody's, and then we can start to think about like filling in the holes, like actually looking at our numbers in the month of April and figuring out where you are versus where you need to be, where that star leg is going to come from, and that sort of thing. So who wants to?
So one thing that I'll say, and this is what I did last year at Hoopla. So I went to 2 Hooplas and then had to sit one out because I was really pregnant and couldn't travel. And so then the last Hoopla last year was kind of like my rebuilding and just kind of getting back into my business, getting back into the swing of things and adjusting. I felt like I had adjusted back into the group, but I needed to then excel. I was comfortable, but I wanted to get back. I wanted to be better than where I was. So I went to Hoopla very intentionally. I went to Hoopla knowing where being very cognizant of my strengths and my weaknesses. And I wanted to really hone in on fixing what needed to be fixed. Yeah, it's social and that's fun. And it was really great to be back, but I was very intentional. And Liz knows this already, but I picked my breakouts focusing on things that were going to help my business. I sought out people who were great at what I was not great at. And I really tried to just absorb all of that. So it was sponsoring. I've never been strong at sponsoring. I love it, but I'm very intense, and I'm just my amount of extra is sometimes off-putting to people. So I had to find a way to kind of tone it back and channel my excitement and listen more than I talk. And it's just, I'm learning and just kind of relate it in a way that's more relatable to other people. So I really was focused on sponsoring. And so then they announced the sponsoring special, and I looked at Samantha Tunador and I was like, I got this. I was like, I'm going to sponsor 10 people before I get home and blah, 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 blah. And that didn't happen. And I got cocky real fast and then realized that's not cool. And that it was not great. And then, so I came back and I made a plan And I mean, I lost more than half of my team from January until when we went to Hoopla, like 15 people, and was really rebuilding, like seriously rebuilding. And so I went in, I was like, okay, I'm going to sponsor. I'm going to talk to everybody. I'm just going to make that my focus. And then I finished August with 7 new stylists, which I don't think I'd brought on 7 the whole year. And now one of my goals for Hoopla is to make top 10 and new qualified stylists for the entire company.
Yeah, for this coming up, Hoopla?
Like in 90 days. I'm currently number 7.
In the company?
Uh-huh.
What?
I'm tied for 7. So one more and I'll be, Liz knows because Liz tracks it with me. I'll be what? 4? 5?
What's your number?
14.
Wow.
15? I should know this. And then I can look it up in just a second. I'm number 12 or 13 in whatever the personal generation qualified one is.
Oh,
That's a thing.
Yeah.
And
which means that you're helping your team sponsor as well. That's huge.
Which is crazy. Again, a year ago, the sponsoring was like not even, like Amy and sponsoring together in the same sentence was never a thing. And so that's really kind of crazy and exciting. So I'm really pumped about that. Oh, so I'm number 10 in personal new qualified, and 7 with 14 in the company.
That is seriously amazing, Amy.
It's silly.
And just keep sponsoring your beauty off, because in the recent years, people have gone from like 15 to 30 in like a month. Like they sandbag. They literally hold all their people and they put them in the night before.
I have heard that is very cutthroat. And I'm prepared for that.
Sam Ballard's off the table now, which helps a lot.
And so is Michelle Featherstone.
Oh, that's right. She's a big sponsor too. All right.
She was on the list.
That's seriously incredible. So we obviously sponsoring is okay. So tell us. Well, actually, we'll dive into that on the sponsoring call if you can get back on. But that's amazing. Okay, so tell us what you're doing for you want 90 days. You want to be top in sponsoring. What about in terms of your team and things like that? Promotions. Do you have a number?
I am really just kind of trying to focus on how easy it is just to talk about it and to not stress out sponsoring and like not stress about bringing friends along. It's really fun and do what I do. And like I had a girl promote to associate stylist last month on the very last day in the last couple of hours because she brought a friend along 3 days before. The 3 of us did a joint online style session for her where I ran it. Haley hostess coached and Julie was the new stylist, and she was qualified in no time and more. And so it wasn't like let's start your business and do all these things and make it really stressful. It was, let's just do this and we'll think about it later. And then just kept it really simple, and she's having so much fun with it and they both want to sponsor more and just kind of creating that. And Sam does a really good job of creating culture where it's just, don't overthink it. Just like talk about it. If they say no, cool, that's fine. And then go on to the next thing. And so I have a lot of girls on my team who are hungry for that. They want all the perks that come with being an associate stylist, the product credit, promotion bonuses, and things like that. So I'm kind of just trying to focus on that. The free Hoopla registration has been huge for newer stylists that are in their jumpstart. I think I have 2 or 3 that are going to Hoopla because of the free registration. They wouldn't have ever gone if they hadn't promoted.
Yeah.
And as of right now, I'm on track to have every single Team Wine Charms member walk across the stage at Hoopla.
Oh, I forgot, Rhonda, you promoted in Jumpstart, right? To associate? Okay, so you got the free registration?
I thought it was just, I thought that was only promote like in this year. Like I was in July of last year.
Right, but you hit it like it was a thing since this whole year, right, guys?
I think it's in your Jumpstart.
Well, she did it in her Jumpstart. So she signed up in July and she promoted in October. So she hit it like right at the end of her Jumpstart, like the day before her Jumpstart. That was already in effect since Hoopla, right?
Yeah, it should be.
Yeah, so if you paid for it, you probably need to call and hopefully they'll reimburse you.
No, what they'll do is they're reimbursing you when you check in. So there's no code. So when you check in, then they'll put the money back on your blue card.
Oh, I didn't know that. And I didn't know that. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you probably just don't remember because it was so long ago.
I thought it was just a certain amount of time. Like I thought was only if you like from January on. I didn't know. I thought it. I didn't know it was last
Yeah, as
year.
long as you did it in your jump start, which I'm pretty sure you did it the last couple of days of your jump start. So
I did. I hit jump start.
So Rhonda, for your new girls also, that's a huge pull for them. Like the girl who just signed up, she can get her free Hoopla registration.
So I'm telling you, it was a really great reminder. I'm going to actually go and see them or talk to them, because I told you I have a girl who's sold 750 and hasn't even had her launch yet. And she also, within 3 days, signed on another person. I've never had someone go so fast. She's like,
we need to get on a training call, the three of us together then.
I mean, she's rolling, and yeah, so that would be awesome if we could do that, Kelly.
Yeah.
And I want them both to hit their quick start and their jump start. So I'm really working on them. And Rita's going to come back and have a show on the 28th. So I think she could have a really great show.
Okay, so why don't we transition into you now then? Because I know you're going for Star this month. How many team shows do y'all have booked right now?
Well, like I said, I lost 2 at the very beginning. And Linda, unfortunately, she seems to her son had to have surgery. You know, my team's kind of small. I've got, you know, like, let's see, 1, 2, like 3, and then 2 of those 3 have 2 legs. So, you know, I don't have.
You know how to look on your reports to see your trunk show pipeline? Here, I'll pull it up real quick. So if you go to sellout.com, and this is something you guys reports tell you so much. It tells you like who to reach out to, who's doing something, who's not, who is close to something and who's not. So if you go onto reports and then go under reports and then team trunk show pipeline. Rhonda, are you doing that right now?
I'm just writing it down.
Okay, here. Let me see if I can look you up and get it real quick.
But I'm doing a lot of pop-ups. I'm going crazy with that, and I'm brainstorming, like I want to get like a dad party with all Mother's Day coming up. I want to have some dad to, like, you know, I don't know. I'm just thinking like to have like book a show, have the dads come over and to book for their daughters for Mother's Day and for Easter and that kind of thing. But yeah, I'm also helping my team. Like Lena, I'm going to be at her show, and I'm also going to be at Tracy's show to try to help her get her quick start. Awesome. So that's 2 that I'm going to be taking away from me. And then there's Easter. So, and my friend Linda she converted to Kabbalah, Jewish. So she's got like 10 days taken off the calendar this month.
Well, it says she has a trunk show. So it says Linda's got 1, you've got 3, Sarah's got 1, and Tracy's got 1. So 3, 4, 5, 6. So you've got 6 so far on the calendar. So you need basically, what's that?
9.
9. Perfect.
Yeah. So I've got okay.
Yeah, and helping those girls, those new girls, both go for associate this month, or that one that hit the ground running, maybe even double promote to senior. Like that's gonna add a lot of volume. The more you get your team going for individual goals, the more that volume is gonna come pouring in, because they're working for themselves. They're not just working for you.
So Kelly, if we could do a call maybe with Lena and Tracy, just us 3 do a call, because Lena she's done multi-level marketing with Southern something before, and she had a VIP page put. I mean, she is just on it. So I was like, wow. Yeah. So she knows what she's doing, and she has a ton of customers through her. She's an esthetician, and she does pedicures and manicures. So she's got a lot of clientele.
All right, awesome. Let's talk offline, and we'll find a time. That sounds great. I would love to talk to them. Okay, good. Liz, how about you? What's your goal, and where are you versus what you need?
So my goal is Star by Hoopla, and I think I have the bare minimum right now to get to that. And truth be told, it's a, gosh, we say this all the time, it's a struggle. I feel like my intentions and my desires are really high, but my actions are really low, and I will be very forthcoming with that. So my first line Noelle actually sponsored her sister-in-law last month. Her name is Carrie. And so I've been working with her. She's only, what is she's like 2 weeks in, I think. And so working with her to just help her launch has been like a time suck, because Noelle has asked me to help do the training with her. Noelle doesn't feel confident enough to do the training on her own. And so we talk every Wednesday. We've done 2 Wednesdays now. Tomorrow will be our 3rd. You know, and Carrie hasn't even scheduled her launch. And I can tell her until I'm blue in the face, but she has to actually do it. And so, of course, I turn it inward, and I'm like, I'm not doing the right thing. I'm not doing enough. I'm not helping her enough. I'm not saying the right thing. And so as much as I want to get to all these places that I want to get to,
I'm getting stuck in my head. I'm overthinking, I'm internalizing, I'm putting it back on myself. And I can't seem to like cross out of that like selfish mode, like selfish, almost self-destructing mode.
Yeah.
And so I find that that's kind of my biggest struggle right now. And I'm really having a very hard time with the sponsoring conversation. Like everything Amy just said about how she went to Hoopla and she had all these great intentions last year to be intentional at Hoopla and to learn from the best and to, you know, just kind of zip up and listen and learn. That's where my intentions are right now. And that's how I want to go into Hoopla, is to learn as much as I can. I don't even know what my goal at Hoopla is. Like, I know what the Red Shoe Affair is, but like, I don't really know what it means to like walk across the stage.
It's a really big deal to be a star at Hoopla. Star is like, you are like a god at Hoopla when you're a star. It is, you're across the stage, you're like, you have a star on the Walk of Fame, you get to go to the Red Shoe Affair. It's pretty incredible. But Liz, I will tell you that like you admitting like you have the greatest intentions, but the actions aren't necessarily following is huge. Like most people tell themselves in their head that they're doing everything right and it's just not happening, instead of being like, okay, so I know maybe these actions need to be changed. The thing about the team is, just so you know, I have 7 girls this past year, because I went and looked at my sponsoring numbers on the Hoopla report and I was like, oh dear God. And I actually went back and looked and it was like 13 or 14, but 7 girls never got to 500. 7. And like a bunch of them are from recently. So I've sponsored 6 since January and like 2 have launched. So just know that you can coach, and these girls are adamant. They won't do an online show with me. They won't let me run an online show for them. Like they wanted the discount. They don't want anything else to do with it. They basically said like back the F off. But so I have to like, there's nothing I can do to get those girls to do something. This girl, that might not be the case. So what I typically do in a coaching situation like that is be like, hey, pick your date before our call tomorrow, and we're going to spend the entire call setting up your invite. So I'm going to walk you through how to do the e-bite. I'm going to walk you through but we need your date. So I would even text her that today and just make it seem like it's not like a when are you going to do it? It's a go ahead and pick your date right now, and then we're going to spend our call doing tomorrow. It's getting all the invites out so it's ready to go. And be like, honestly, don't overthink it. I know sometimes, you know, nerves can creep in and you can think it's a big deal. This is your girls over shopping and fun. Like this is not a big deal. You're wiping off your kitchen cable and it's playing dress up. Like it is not a big deal.
Also, Liz, do they know what they're getting out of it? Like a lot of times they might have no idea what their bonuses are in Quick Start. They might be like, why am I doing this? Like, you know, yeah, I'm getting free stuff, but like, what are they getting? Do they have any idea? Because people are not always going to go through and be self-starters and look at like what is on the lounge and what they're going to get. So maybe open it up to with like, hey, you know that you're getting like $800 in product, right? After you launch, like after this day. And they'll be like,
yes,
what? And then you
that was our call. Yeah, that was our call last week was,
okay.
So I told her we didn't go through it and do it together, but I told her, I said, go and set up your link right now, set it for the end of your Quick Start. You can pick your actual show date any day, but go ahead and set up the link now so you have the link ready. And then you're going to get XYZ. And so I went through all the stuff. Noelle was on the call with us as well. So I think it was good for Noelle to hear that. So that was our call last week. But Kelly, I loved your suggestion of tomorrow, go ahead and actually making the date solid, and I'll, you know, go through her invites with her. So, yeah, I'll go ahead and text her as soon as we're done.
Yeah, when I coach people right away, I'm like, okay, first things first, we're going to pick a date. We want it to be within your first 10 days. So I say it like it's non-negotiable. I am just like, okay, so the first thing we got to do is super easy. We are going to blast it out there, blast your invites out there. It takes like 5 minutes to do it. Super fun. But we want to get you launched in the next 10 days because you are going to get the biggest shopping spree of your life. It's so much fun. So I don't even talk about it like when or if. And I'm wondering, and you probably did this because she wasn't picking a date, so you just wanted to get the show in the system. But instead of in the future, I don't know if I would say just go in there and create one for the end of your Jumpstart, because that gave her like a little bit of free time to like not pick a date. So I would right from the beginning be like, okay, let's go ahead and pick a date. If we need to, you know, edit it or whatever, we can, but let's go ahead and get the date on the books and get the invites out. But
so she actually did that, and that's something we had to work through. So she signed up like, I don't know, on the 23rd of March. She created her show for the 24th. She went in and created it right away. And I was like, that's great. Are you going to have something like this weekend? And she was like, oh no, I just went in and did it because you told me to set it up. And I'm like, well, yes, but we have to actually plan it. You can't just go and create it. And so then I had to like train her super quick and coach her about the 2 weeks and the 4 times a year and all of that. And so that's why I said, let's give you some more time. So put it at the end of your quick start, or, just move it back. Because I was afraid she was going to have it set and then miss it and lose one of her 4 for the year.
Yeah.
So she's like ready to go and doing things a lot faster than I'm coaching her. And so she's doing them wrong, to be honest.
Right.
So that's something else we're trying to work through.
Yeah, so that's so it doesn't sound like she's like delaying picking the date. It just sounds like there was kind of a miscommunication in the beginning. She put it in there wrong. And yeah, so I would just call her and be like, hey, go ahead and pick your date sometime in the next week or so, because April is going to be a huge month. So why don't we do it for like next Thursday? And sometimes I even, if she wants me there to help, I just give her what I have available. I'm like, okay, I could do Tuesday this or Thursday this. And then that kind of really narrows down her focus too. Because 99% of the time when people aren't picking a date, they're just nervous. They're nervous. They're scared to show up. They're scared to just be like, we're going to spend the whole call tomorrow getting all your invites out. I'm going to walk you through it. It's super easy, but we're going to make sure we have a great attendance for you.
Yeah. Well, and she's not local, so I can't even be there with her. So she really has to do it on, she has to do it on her own.
Perfect.
But with my small little team, I would love to sponsor more. I would love to. I'm getting a lot of great advice from the pacing group that I'm a part of, who are amazing. But I get stuck in here. I get stuck in my head. And so that's what I'm trying to work through not by myself, but like I'm trying to work through that. The 6 shows that I have this month, it's great that I have 6, but only one's in home. 1 is online, 4 are like vendor pop-up situations. So trying to get more in home, but I am thankfully getting a lot of no's, which is great, but those no's are, oh no, I don't do that. I mean, like that is the biggest response I get is, oh, I don't do that. I don't do sale parties.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to get past that hurdle. That's what I'm running into a lot. It's great that I get the no's, but it's not the kind of no that I'm wanting. I can't really turn a mindset over. So sponsoring, getting more in-home, in-person shows, and then Star by Hoopla. So
awesome. And so I'm looking at your report right now. It says you've got 6 and then Carrie's got 1. So you've got 7. So you're almost halfway to what you need. So I think y'all could easily get there. Do you think Pretty would do a show this month?
I talked to her over the weekend. Her goal is to have 2 this month.
Oh, awesome.
She just promoted, I'm super happy for her. She just promoted in her daytime job to an assistant director of a daycare facility. So she's got like a professional learning curve ahead of her for her full-time daytime job. And so I need to give her some grace for that. But her goal is 2 in-homes, and she's got a couple of leads. And so yeah, I'm working with her on that.
I would even tell your goal, like as like a team goal, just be like, hey, you guys, I was kind of looking at the numbers, and I know Pretty wants to do 2 shows. And does Christine, she said she wants to do anything?
Yeah, that's Noelle. Yeah, her given name's Christine, but that's Noelle, the one who had all the health issues at the beginning of the year. I haven't talked with her about her goal because she's focusing a lot on Carrie. And so I need to spend some time with Noelle about what her goals are. But she had one pop up at the end of March, or like a multi-vendor show at the end of March. That surprisingly, she went from like 74 PQV to like 670 PQV within 2 days because of this. And I was like, let's use that momentum going into April. So I want her goal.
Well, they can easily promote to associate. I think what the goal would be is Christine, she already has 221 in sales. Carrie's got 81 in sales. If you can get Christine to book like 2 shows and go for associate with Carrie, and then help Carrie bring along a friend, and because she's already going to have her launch, so she's already going to have great sales. And if she can bring along one friend this month and get to associate 2, they both get free Hoopla registration, and then both would be associates. So that would be, an extra 3,000 in volume right there for you. And then if Pretty did 2, that would be, see if you can get Pretty to book her 2 by the 15th. Maybe be like, as a team, I would love to see if we can get to 15. Right now, we're almost halfway there. I know Pretty's going to add 2 shows in. Christine, if you did this, you would get to associate and get an $800 shopping spree. And Carrie, same for you. If you bring along one buddy, you're already going to have your launch. If you bring along one buddy and launch her this month, you're also going to get the $800 shopping spree. And you get free Hoopla registration. So kind of get them all excited and kind of say it in front of everybody, like what they could get and how close they are. And then, because that would pull in a ton of volume for you. And then that'd be 2 qualified legs. So you really would just need 1 more leg.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Congrats. Okay. Hey, Victoria. So we're talking about what is our goal for Hoopla and where we are numbers wise versus where we need to be. And we've got 3 minutes until we get cut off. And then we can pop back on for the next call after this.
Okay, well, I have 0 trunk shows booked for this month. And I have just been really working on coaching. I obviously have to amp up my personal business, which I'm really not worried about. I feel like I can do that like in 8 hours and have like a full calendar. I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
Because I have so much that I got last month that I'm like able to really work through. And I have a lot of people who are interested. It's just about me personally sitting down and doing it. And we've just been going and doing. So I have Brittany going for hopefully Heart of Leadership Star. She's still trying to wrap her head around what that even means. And sponsoring, we're trying to just create a sponsoring culture on the team. And then I have both Kirby and then I have Nicole Hinton's old star, Karen, who had her team roll up last year and She's back in it. She's almost at like 1,000 PQV this month. She just sponsored her first stylist and wants to get to Star by Hoopla. So if I have Brittany and Kirby and Karen going for Star and then potentially Myra going for Star, I feel like it's a really good momentum to get to director. So I'm really excited about it. But I will be honest in saying I'm exhausted from last month. I'm so tired. Like I need to get on the motivation train because I've told my pacing group that like I'm kind of flexing out this month, but at the same time, like flexing out for me is like 2,500 to 5,000, but it's still like to even get there, I'm like, I'm so tired. So that's just kind of a situation. But I'm excited for my team.
Yeah, and honestly, with the momentum you have with a brand new senior stylist and a brand new star, and Kirby, I just looked at her numbers. She's already sponsored this month.
She has, yeah. She sponsored last night and flipped her hostess by flipping her hostess. So that was exciting.
Awesome. So yeah, she's got it. I mean, you have got like 2 girls who have it in spades. Yeah, so I would get them all going for it this month. Like I said, if you've got, I don't think volume is even going to be close to an issue, will it, for director?
Well, I mean, we were only at 37,000 last month, and I had a $10,000 month. So I mean, I need to have like a really strong personal month.
Okay.
It's not happening right now.
Okay, hold on one second. I'm just going to pull up your trunk show pipeline real quick. Have you looked yet to see what your pipeline is for your team yet? Here, I can look.
No.
Just a second.
I'm on this call solely for motivation.
Yay! Okay, good.
Hey, Liz.
Oh yeah, you guys were about to get cut off. So here, I'll have your numbers for you when we get back on. So everyone pop off and pop back on again for the technically, and we'll continue the deep dive into our numbers. I want everyone to pull up your reports and kind of figure out the holes, and then we'll come up with a plan for how to fill the holes. Does that sound good?
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
Bye.